After 2 decades of marriage, when my wife suddenly proposed open relationships, she never expected that her freedom would lead to my triumph and her regret. Be me, 38 years old Thomas Parker, living in Tucson, Arizona, married to Elizabeth for almost 20 years, had a normal Tuesday evening dinner at home, making her favorite lasagna that I learned from her mother, glass of red wine on the table, trying to be romantic. Everything seems fine until she drops the bomb. Honey, we need to talk. Heart starts racing immediately. Can't help but think the worst. Wonder if she's been unfaithful. Try to keep my composure while my hands shake. Talk about what? Watch her take a sip of wine. She looks nervous as hell. Notice she's barely touched her food, studying every little movement she makes. Her hands are trembling slightly while holding the wine glass. Watch her every move trying to figure out what's coming. Can't take the suspense anymore. Have you been unfaithful? Her face changes completely. Looks shocked at my question. No, never! The way she stresses never makes me uneasy. Feel my stomach turning into knots. I would never betray you like that. Feel slight relief, but still worried. Are you thinking about leaving me? Oh, Thomas, she sighs. Where are you getting these ideas? I'm not leaving you. I love you. Great, I reply. I love you too. Want us to grow old together? Want to share everything with her like we always planned? Elizabeth's face brightens up. She smiles warmly. Me too, Thomas. So what's the issue? Ask while getting more concerned about her health. I'm fine, dear. She tries to reassure me. Didn't mean to worry you. Just feeling like something's off between us lately. Take another sip of wine to calm my nerves. With Jennifer away at university, things just feel different. Might be empty nest syndrome or midlife crisis. But we seem stuck. Ask her to explain what she means by stuck. Well, she starts hesitantly. We're both so caught up with work. Your position at the marketing agency keeps you traveling. I'm stuck at the office until late most nights. When we're not working, we're completely exhausted. Dark circles under our eyes tell the whole story. Can barely remember the last time we had dinner before 8 p.m. When was the last time we were intimate? When was the last time we made love? I echo. Honestly can't remember the date. Calendar in my head is embarrassingly blank. Elizabeth hasn't shown interest in intimacy for months. Been taking care of myself solo for what feels like forever. It's been a while, I admit quietly. But every time I try to initiate something, you turn me down. There's always some excuse. True, Elizabeth admits. I know I'm usually exhausted when you're in the mood. Memories of countless rejected advances flash through my mind. But back when we were younger, tiredness didn't stop us. We used to be together 3 or 4 times a week. Now it's more like once every 3 or 4 months. If that, agree with her feeling frustrated. Seems like she's blaming me for lack of closeness. When she's the one always saying no. Remember all those nights I tried to get close. All those times she said she had a headache, or was too tired from work, or had an early meeting next day. If it were up to me, we'd be intimate more often. She explained she wants us to break out of this routine, wants to improve things between us, so we can stay together for life. We're both feeling bored, Thomas. We need to shake things up. I'm not bored, I countered defensively. I've got plenty of excitement in my life. Excitement? She asks with a smirk. What do you have planned for tonight? I'm watching The Lost City of Gold. They're promising a major discovery tonight. Been following this show for months, really invested in their search, looking at her expression. But don't they always promise that and end up finding nothing but mud and old timber? Yeah, pretty much, I admit reluctantly. See, she says with that knowing smirk. Boring? It's not boring. It's just comfortable. After being married as long as we have, comfort becomes the norm. That's exactly my point, Elizabeth says. When we first got married, you used to be so passionate every night. But that's long gone. Remember those early days when we couldn't keep our hands off each other? When every moment alone turned into something more? Set my fork down with a clang. Is that the problem? Do you want me to be more aggressive? Pull down your pants and take you right here on the table? That's not quite what I meant, Thomas, she says. Honestly, I've lost just as much interest in our intimacy as you have. It's where we are in our lives. We've lost that spark. And that's what worries me. We're still relatively young. If we've lost so much passion already, what will we have left in a few years? How will we stay together? We'll stick together because we're married. That's what couples do. We're used to each other. We're comfortable. Feel the tension rising in the room. And who says I'm not interested in intimacy? I am. We're like roommates now, but comfortable ones, I say defensively. I think we're more than roommates. We still have moments of closeness and love. So we're roommates with benefits? I argue back. Yes, I love you. And I know you love me, but can you really say you're still as crazy about me as you were when we first got married? She asks, her eyes searching mine for honesty. It's different now, I explain. Our love has matured like a fine wine. We're older. Our desire isn't as intense as it used to be, but it could be, she says, holds my hand gently. Don't you want to rekindle that excitement? That chemistry we once had? I'm not sure, Elizabeth. I actually like how things are now. Sure, I'd appreciate more closeness, but I enjoy coming home and relaxing peacefully with you. We've worked hard to get to this comfortable place. Remember all the struggles we've been through, all the challenges we've overcome. It's like that old hammock in the backyard. I've been saying for years that one day I'll finally get to lie out there and read a book. Now that I'm ready to do that, you want to get rid of it? Elizabeth processes my words, shakes her head slowly. I don't get that comparison. But I'm not asking you to give anything up. I'm saying we need to reignite the romance and spice things up before it's too late. My desire isn't gone. It's just been subdued. Her voice trembles with emotion. I want to feel that excitement we used to have when we couldn't get enough of each other. So you're saying our sex life isn't satisfying? I ask. No, not at all, she says quickly. You're a fantastic lover, thoughtful and skilled. You always know how to make me feel good. And I've never faked it with you. Feel a mix of pride and confusion at her words. The problem isn't that our intimacy is lacking. It's that we rarely seem to want it. What are you getting at? I ask. I'm lost. Elizabeth sighs deeply. I'm saying I need more. It feels like we've shifted from being lovers to just partners. I want to feel your love for me again. I want to feel my love for you again. I crave passion, desire, romance, and closeness. But you said you didn't want closeness, I point out. So do you or don't you? I want closeness, she replies. Her words make my head spin. It sounds like you want to feel young again. Are you sure this isn't just a hormonal issue? Are you having hot flashes or something? Don't go there, Thomas, she snaps. Don't belittle my feelings by attributing them to hormonal changes. Just because I'm upset doesn't mean it's PMS. And wanting to revive our love doesn't mean I'm going through menopause. I'm sorry, I say quickly. You're right. That was thoughtless of me. I'm just trying to understand where all this is coming from suddenly. It's not sudden, Elizabeth says. Her voice trembles slightly. I've been thinking about this for a while. Fidgets with her wedding ring nervously. I'm afraid if we don't make some significant changes to reignite our relationship, our marriage won't survive. She looks like she might cry. I know we've been coasting for a while. Well, if this isn't out of the blue, I say. Why bring it up now? Why didn't you talk to me about this earlier? It took me a while to get to this point, she explains. But I'm bringing it up now because I didn't want it to keep eating away at me. Watch as tears form in her eyes. Feel my heart breaking seeing her like this. Maybe she had a point. I care about Elizabeth. Would do almost anything to make her happy and strengthen our bond. Okay, I'm all ears, I say. I can see you've put a lot of thought into this, and it's important to you. What should we do? Should we see a marriage counselor? I've heard about something called intimacy coaches. Should I look into that? Those are good ideas, Elizabeth says. Wipes away a tear with a smile. Thanks for suggesting them. I think we should consider them. I also have a few other ideas. Like what? I ask. Well, let me ask you something first, she says. Takes another sip of wine for courage. Your company is a creative agency, right? You always tell me how you're among the best at what you do. Look at her curiously. Yes, we're one of the top 2 in Phoenix. Maybe even top 5 in the country, I reply. How does that relate to our love life? Do you hire only the best talent? She asks. Absolutely, I say proudly. Think about our latest hires, and how many of them have stayed with the company? For say 20 years? None, I admit. Our company has only been around for 6 years. We're always bringing in fresh talent. Our field has a lot of turnover, so you're constantly bringing in new blood. With fresh ideas and approaches? She asks. Yes, I say confidently. We're big on innovation. Our methods are always evolving. And these newcomers bring new skills. And energy that benefit everyone. Got it, Elizabeth says. Her expression changes to something more serious. So where are you going with this? We're hitting our 20-year mark next month, I say. We were exclusive for 3 years before that. In all that time, I've been faithful to you. And as far as I know, you've been faithful to me. That means for almost 23 years. We've only been with each other. You were my first, and as you've said, you had only 2 boyfriends before me. True, I say, starting to feel uneasy. A knot forms in my stomach. Can feel cold sweat forming on my forehead. And well, she continues, would you hire someone at your company if they learned their skills 23 years ago and never updated them? Or brought in any fresh ideas or education? Would you want employees who only practice their work sporadically? Would your company be top-notch if no one strived to improve and innovate constantly? Of course not, I agree. But this is about us, not work. What's your point? Feel my hands getting clammy. Don't like where this is heading. I'm saying that 23 years ago, we were at our peak. We had a vibrant, exciting closeness. That felt new and exhilarating. But then life changed. We became parents, then professionals, and busy with countless activities. We sharpened our skills in those areas, but neglected our connection with each other. We kept doing things the same way. We always had from 23 years ago. It grew dull. The excitement faded. And we got tired of the routine. We lost the spark. What are you trying to tell me, Elizabeth? I ask. I'm saying I'm done with comfort, Thomas, she says firmly. I'm tired of it. I want something fresh. Something exciting! I want to learn new things and become better at making love. I want to use that to reignite our spark and shake up our monotonous, cozy life. I want to feel love again. I want a partner who's passionate, not just a roommate. I need that fire. Feel my heart pounding in my chest. Okay, I say, my voice trembling. Feel jittery, not sure if it's anxiety, adrenaline, or just my instincts kicking in. I'll do whatever it takes to bring passion back. We can have regular date nights and engage in activities you enjoy. I'll cut down on TV time. And we can find a hobby to share. We can travel more too. You love trips? So why not go somewhere each month? Even if it's just a night at a trendy hotel downtown. Elizabeth takes my hand, kisses it gently, then shakes her head. Thomas, I know you'd move mountains for me. If you could. I appreciate your ideas and know you think they would help, but in the end, it's still us doing them. We're still stuck in the same routine. And soon enough, we'll grow tired of that too. Her eyes show a mix of sadness and determination. Those suggestions are a start, but they're still too comfortable. We're not truly learning or exploring anything new. So what's your plan then? I ask. Trying to follow along, but feeling lost. What exactly are you suggesting? Should we try going to a couples resort? Or something? Oh God, no, she says. Making a disgusted face? I couldn't handle a place like that. I don't want to deal with creepy people. Trying to pull us into casual encounters. Shudders at the thought. Then what? I ask. Feeling increasingly frustrated. Well, I think we need something. That really shakes things up. Something fresh and exciting. To reboot our relationship and reignite our romance. We need to bring back the spark. In our intimate lives, at this point willing to consider almost anything. That sounds interesting? I'm open to it. How do you propose we do that? Take a deep breath, preparing for her answer. I think I should start seeing other people, Elizabeth says. Hold up, I say. Pull my hands away from her. Give her a bewildered look. Repeat that. I don't think I heard you correctly. I'm thinking about dating other people, she repeats. Yeah, I heard you loud and clear, I say. Lean back in my chair, then lean forward again, staring at Elizabeth like she's lost her mind. Are you actually serious? She seems surprised by my reaction. Yes, I'm serious. I've really thought this through. I believe this is what we need. Elizabeth, you've had some wild ideas before, but this one is off the charts. I don't think it's crazy, Thomas. If you let me explain, I'm sure you'll understand. Feel my blood starting to boil. Okay, explain. How you think dating other guys will somehow improve our relationship and spice things up. Elizabeth, I'm not talking about cheating on you. Not at all. That's not what I mean. So you want to go on dates with other men instead of me? I ask incredulously. Yes, exactly. Romantic dates So you're talking about real, genuine dates, like we used to have? Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Real dates. Would these dates include intimacy? On the first date? Or would you make them wait? Like you did with me? Thomas, I never mentioned intimacy. That's true. But when you talk about real dates, it implies that intimacy might be part of it. Intimacy isn't necessarily off limits. But I'm not saying that's the main point. I'd see where things go, and how the relationships develop. Watch her face flush as she speaks. So not only do you want to date other men, but you're also open to the possibility of intimacy and developing relationships with them. You're misunderstanding, Thomas. You're focusing on the worst-case scenario. Yes or no, Elizabeth? Would you be intimate with these dates? She hesitates. It's complicated. Yes or no? Watch sweat form on her forehead. I guess yes. That's being unfaithful? No, it's not. How do you not see that as unfaithful? You're planning to date someone else, have romantic interactions, and possibly be intimate. That's unfaithful. Feel my hands shaking with anger. I'm seething, struggling to keep my composure. This is spiraling out of control. Elizabeth remains calm, which only makes me more frustrated, like she's trying to be the rational one, while I'm losing it. It wouldn't be unfaithful, she says calmly, because you'd be aware of everything. You'd know who I'm with, what we're doing. We'd discuss everything after I come back home. Oh my gosh, I shout, each word sharp with frustration. You want to betray me and humiliate me at the same time. Why would you think I'd agree? To you dating or being with someone else? What has gotten into you? Did you actually think I'd accept this nonsense? Thomas, please try to stay calm. We need to talk about this. There's no need for shouting or harsh words. My face feels hot with anger. I glare at her. Did you really think I'd go along with this? I know it might be difficult for you to understand, she says. But you love me, and you're reasonable and intelligent. I thought you'd calm down, see the logic behind this, and support me. Support you while you're seeing other men? It's not just about being with other men. If that's all I wanted, I could have been doing it for years. I could have been with your brother, your friends, even your boss at Henderson Corp. My stomach turns at the thought. Elizabeth continues firmly. They've all hit on me countless times, but I never did. I'd never cheat on you. I'd never do that to you. But now you're suggesting it? No, sweetheart, she corrects. This isn't about cheating. It's not just for me. It's for both of us. It'll bring excitement, fun, and new experiences. Our bed life will come alive again. I'll feel alive again. And you'll be a part of it. We're in this together. So you want me to join you on these dates? I ask, trying to make sense of it all. No, she says. I meant together in a broader sense. Not literally. You'd be at home while I go out on the dates. Then when I come back, I'll share all the details with you. I chuckle, feeling a mix of disbelief and anger. So you expect me to pleasure you after he's been with you and clean up after him? She actually blushes. I couldn't believe it. She really wanted me to do that. Well, that would be the ultimate way for you to show your love. I'd sooner freeze over. Before I ever do that, I tell her coldly. Okay, we can skip that part, she says, her voice faltering. Unless you want to destroy our marriage, I added. It won't destroy our marriage, Elizabeth says. You being intimate with another man. It won't be lovemaking, Thomas. I saved that for you. I love you, not him. It's just about physical connection. Just physical, I repeat. Trying to grasp her meaning. What exactly does that mean? It means there won't be any emotions involved, she says. We'll only be exploring each other physically. Nothing more, just physical. I study her carefully. Notice her avoiding eye contact? Let me get this straight. You want to have just physical relations with another man? If it comes to that, yes, she confirms. So why? Why seek physical relations with someone else? She hesitates. I guess for variety, to try something different. That suggests I'm not fulfilling your needs, I say calmly. You're not satisfied with me and want to find someone better. No, Thomas, she protests. That's not true. I love being intimate with you. You're fantastic in bed. I don't want anyone else. If that were true, I reasoned. You wouldn't be considering someone else. The only reason for seeking physical relations with someone new is to upgrade, to find someone better than what you already have. That's not true, she counters. But she doesn't offer any evidence. Her hands fidget nervously with her napkin. Oh, but it is, I argue. Think about it. If you love sushi, and you found the best sushi spot in town, right next door, why would you try the 20 other sushi spots around? If you already have the best? She ponders this for a moment. I guess to try something different. But why? I continue. If you know this place is the best, would you want to go somewhere you know won't be as good or satisfying? I'm a bit confused, she admits. Looking downcast. Maybe it's just a desire for variety. If it's only about physical connection, why seek it elsewhere? If you're content with our intimacy, I ask her. If I satisfy you, then why not have more closeness with me? We hardly ever do. So if you want more, we can make it happen more often. But instead, you'd rather do it with someone else. Who might be better or worse? It's clear it's not just about physical connection. Or you wouldn't be considering someone else. You think he might be better. I'm not sure, she says, looking puzzled. You're making this complicated. But it's not like that. Okay, so it's solely about physical connection, right? I ask. Yes, she replies, exasperated. Takes another nervous sip of wine. If that's true, I say with a grin. I have a suggestion. Her eyes brighten with hope. You do? What is it? If it's only about physical intimacy, then I'm willing to let you explore it. I'll hire a male escort to come here. He'll be skilled, well-endowed, and healthy. That way you can have what you want, without the risk of emotional attachment. Her face falls. An escort? Are you out of your mind? Because it's only about physical intimacy, I counter. If it's just about the act, then who it is shouldn't matter. He'd be a stranger. Quick and gone. You'd get what you want, without risking any emotional connection. I don't want to do it. With some random stranger, she says, clearly upset. I need a connection with the person. I'm not just an object. Exactly, I say with a smirk. So it's not just about physical connection. You want more than that. You want intimacy with a specific person? Because you have chemistry with him. Her face flushes red. She can't respond for a moment. Finally speaks. Okay, maybe that's partly true. But it won't be significant. What do you mean by that? I ask. Chuckling darkly. Significant to whom? To me or to him? To both of us, she replies. We both know it's just physical. He knows I love you. And he's not expecting anything more. You really believe it won't be meaningful to you? I ask. I do, she insists. Then why do it, if it's meaningless? I challenge him. If it means nothing, you wouldn't want to do it? You want to be with him? Because it does mean something. She buries her face in her hands, groans in frustration. Her wedding ring catches the light as she does. You're making my head spin. We agreed to share that level of intimacy, only with each other, when we got married, I say. And now you're willing to toss that aside? Just to experiment with someone else. You want to explore intimacy with someone else? Because you feel a connection to him, you're not content with what we share. So you're seeking an upgrade? No, that's not it, she murmurs weakly. So you're hoping to sleep with him? To find out he's not as good as me? I press. To see if he has a smaller... You know? She stares at me, unable to respond. Of course not, she says finally. Her voice trembles with uncertainty. I wouldn't consider it. If I thought it might be the same or worse than what we have. You're only interested because you think it'll be much better. I say, the idea of it is what excites you? I don't know, she shouts. Her frustration clear. I never looked at it like that. You're making this more complicated. So what happens when you come home? After he satisfies you more than I do? I ask. Have you thought about that? I hadn't, she admits, her voice wavering. What are you getting at? I'm saying that if you've experienced better intimacy with someone else, how can you expect things to stay the same between us? I say. You want to spice things up? But if he's better, you might not want it with me anymore. You'll be chasing him, and I'll be left feeling like I'm just a placeholder. Watch color drain from her face. How can our relationship survive that? I demand, how can I keep loving you, knowing I'm not enough? How can I kiss you, knowing you might be thinking of another man's kiss? How can I touch you, knowing his touch is preferred? She stares at me, her silence heavy with uncertainty. How can we move forward? If you might be comparing us? If you find him better? I didn't marry you. To be a second choice? She shakes her head, trying to dismiss my concerns. But it won't be like that. If it won't be like that, why consider it at all? I press. You're only thinking about it because you believe it'll be extraordinary. If not, why even entertain the idea? When she remains silent, I continue. And the worst part is, there's no winning for me. I love you deeply, find you incredible, and have always wanted you. I thought we had something special, but now you're tearing us apart. It doesn't matter how good we are together. You're focused on what it could be with him. The excitement of something new, the thrill of breaking the norm, those are driving your desire. Even if we were equal in every way, you might still think he's better. I can't win in this scenario. She looks at me, stunned and speechless. Her wine glass sits untouched now. I'm filled with anger. Who's putting these ideas in your head? Thomas, please, she begins. Forget it, Elizabeth, I interrupt her. My voice cold. This is madness. I'm not going to agree to you dating anyone. I won't sit by while you're with someone else. If you think I'd let someone else be intimate with you, you've lost touch with who I am. You've become someone who doesn't value our marriage. She's taken aback, clearly hurt. Thomas, you're overreacting, she says. Tears welling in her eyes. No, I say firmly. My tone unyielding. You're not taking this seriously enough. Get out. I don't want you here. If this is what you really want, then we're done. The very idea of this means you've already checked out of our marriage, so leave. I'm not leaving, Elizabeth says, her voice stubborn. This is ridiculous. I live here. I'm your wife. You can't just kick me out. Let's talk this through like adults. Fine, stay if you want, I snappy. Grabbing my keys and wallet from the counter, storm through the kitchen, toward the garage. Where are you going? She asks. Panic lacing her voice. Tears stream down her face as she stares at me in disbelief. Anywhere but here, I say coldly. It's suffocating in this place. Please, Thomas, don't leave, she pleads desperately. We can work through this. Let's talk it out. I stop and turn to face her. Here's the deal. I'll stay if you promise me one thing. Never bring up this idea again, or anything like it. Pledge to remain faithful to me for the rest of our lives, just as we vowed on our wedding day. No more thoughts of other men. No more desires for anything but us. Her eyes betray her inner turmoil. She seems on the brink of breakdown. Thomas, please. I think it might help us. That sounds like a no to me, I say. Opening the garage door, Elizabeth's cries echo behind me. Wait, please. I swear it. I promise I won't mention it again. Just don't leave. I turn around, my frustration palpable. I don't know who's been feeding you this nonsense, but I'll find out if I discover you've been seeing him or sleeping with him. I'll divorce you. That's a fact. We're not dating, Thomas, she says, her voice trembling. Nothing's happened. If you want any chance at salvaging our marriage, I say, you better not be lying. No more secrets. No more lies. No more games. I'm not, she protests. I swear. We just talked about it. You talked about sleeping. With another guy, I say, my voice dripping with disdain. My hands shake as I grip the doorframe. This confirms what I've been saying. Your request wasn't about meaningless sex? You want my approval? To be with some specific guy? You've already been planning things with... I watch her face crumple. She begins to cry harder. I'm so disgusted with you, I say, barely able to look at her. I'm sorry, Thomas, she says through tears. I didn't think you'd react this way. He said you might be upset initially, but would come around. Upset? I yell. Who the hell is he? She hesitates, then finally says, Robert. I glance toward the open garage door. By not telling me everything, you're picking him over me? Robert Wilson? The consultant you've been working with lately? The guy from the dinner at Valencia's? Remember that night all too clearly now. Yes, that's him, she admits. We've been talking. I needed to sit down. I shut the garage door, returned to the table. Tell me everything, I demand. Everything? She asks. Looking uncertain? Yes, I say. I want to know all about your conversations. What you've done. And everything about this guy? She nods, tears still in her eyes. Can I sit? It's still your house, I reply coldly. But you can tell me everything. Elizabeth takes a deep breath, wipes her eyes with trembling hands, begins to recount the details of her interactions with Robert Wilson. Over the next few hours, she unfolds the entire story of how Robert had manipulated her. It had started months ago, with Robert planting seeds of doubt and desire, subtly careful not to push too hard, so she wouldn't notice. He had only talked with her. No physical contact, no kisses. His strategy was to maintain innocence. He intended to wait until I gave my approval before making any move. As she finishes her account, I realize two things. First, my marriage is in deep trouble, even if she severs ties with Robert. Second, Robert needs to face consequences. I need to devise a plan to address both issues, but I feel paralyzed. Need time to think? My mind racing with possibilities. Are you still angry with me? Elizabeth asks, her voice trembling. I'm not sure how to describe what I'm feeling, I say honestly. I'm hurt and enraged that you'd even entertain these ideas. If you wanted to reignite our intimacy, there were plenty of other ways, like not rejecting me. Every time I tried to connect with you, Elizabeth looks down, a mixture of shame and regret on her face. After a moment, she looks up again. And what about the other parts? I sigh heavily. Part of me feels sympathy, that you were deceived by Robert, and wants to find a way forward. That's good, Elizabeth says, her voice hopeful. So can we just move past this and return to how things were? No, I say firmly. There's still a part of me that wants to walk away and never look back. I might eventually forgive you, but it will take a lot of time and effort. Elizabeth's eyes are pleading. Is there any part of you that finds the idea exciting or intriguing? Seriously, Elizabeth, I snap. After everything I've just said, I'm sorry, she whispers, her face flushed with embarrassment. I'm really sorry. So what now? I ask, trying to regain control of my emotions. To be honest, I'm not sure, I admit. I need time to figure out what to do next. The fact that you're still entertaining these ideas speaks volumes. I'm really sorry, Elizabeth repeats, her voice breaking. Please tell me you don't want a divorce. I don't know, I say coldly. It depends on what you do next. If you lie to me again, it's over. If you don't completely cut Robert out of your life, it's over. He'll probably ask about it, Elizabeth says nervously. What should I say? You need to decide what to tell him, I say. Do you communicate outside of work? Call, text, anything? Not really, she says, her eyes downcast. We mostly talk at work. Robert made it clear. We shouldn't contact each other outside of work, but he might bring it up tomorrow. Tell him to forget it, I say. Focusing on the issue of Robert. Absolutely. Is he married? I ask. Elizabeth nods. Yes, they just had their third child. A few months ago. Seriously, Elizabeth? I exclaim. He just had a baby. And you were thinking about getting involved with him? Did you even think about his wife and family? He said his wife was okay with it, Elizabeth replies, her voice barely above a whisper. They have an open marriage, and you believe that? I ask incredulously. She blushes deep, finally realizing the absurdity of her situation. I guess I wanted to believe him. Now I see how misguided that was. Elizabeth, I say, study her closely. If we're going to salvage our marriage, you need to be fully on my side. No hesitation. No siding with him. If you can't do that, then forget it. We'll call it quits. I'm on your side, honey, Elizabeth promises, her voice earnest. I swear it. You and our daughter are all that matter to me. Stay here, I instruct. Getting up to retrieve my laptop. Bring it back. Set it on the table between us. Have you checked his Facebook page? Yeah, a few times. But he's not big on social media, Elizabeth replies. Watch her hands fidget nervously. I slide the laptop over to her. Find it for me. She types for a moment. Here it is. The Facebook profile is sparse. No relationship status, no family photos, Not even a mention of his wife. I shift to LinkedIn. Look up Robert Wilson. Jackpot. His LinkedIn profile reveals more information than his Facebook page had. Do you know his wife's first name? I ask. Amanda, Elizabeth says. I do a quick search for Amanda Wilson. Find 2 results. Is she a teacher or a dental hygienist? She's a teacher, Elizabeth says. She teaches at Montgomery High. I click on the teacher link. Her profile pops up. Features a stunning brunette. Is this her? I ask, staring at the beautiful woman, who seems to be the complete opposite of the description Robert had given. I don't think so, Elizabeth says, shaking her head. I've never seen her picture, but that doesn't match what he told me. He said she was older, overweight, and not pretty. I chuckle. Of course he did. This Amanda Wilson looks young, fit and stunning. I pull up her Facebook page. Look at this, I say. Her public profile shows she's married to a Rob and has 3 children, Emma, Lucas, and baby Noah. Yeah, Elizabeth says, her eyes widening. Those are Robert's children's names. I scroll through the photos, see a bunch of family pictures, including some from a recent school event. Amanda and her kids were smiling, and right beside them was Rob. Elizabeth gasps. That's him, she says, her voice trembling. No offense, but that's not what... He told me about her. Why would he bother with you when he's got a gorgeous wife at home? I ask, pulling up photos of Rob and his wife. I don't know, Elizabeth says, looking hurt and close to tears again. That's not what he said about her. He told you they're in an open marriage, right? I ask. That's what he said, Elizabeth replies, sounding unsure. I find some family vacation photos of Amanda at the beach and whistle. Maybe I overreacted, I say, gazing at Amanda's pretty face. Maybe I've been seeing this wrong. What do you mean? Elizabeth asks. Her curiosity piqued. You have his number, right? Elizabeth looks nervous. Yeah, why? I'm not calling him, I say. You are? Elizabeth looks shocked. I can't do that. Wait, I say. You said you were on my side? You have to back me up, no matter what I decide, right? She nods. Yeah, that's what I said. Great, I say. Then give him a call. Elizabeth agrees, but hesitates, her fingers hovering over her phone. Before I do, Elizabeth says, her voice shaking. Can I ask why? I smirk. Well, Robert wants to sleep with you, right? Elizabeth nods, eyes wide. So if I'm going to let him do that, I continue. Don't you think it's only fair that I get to sleep with his wife? Wait, seriously? Elizabeth's voice rises in disbelief. You want to sleep with his wife? Look at her, I say, pointing at Amanda Wilson's picture in a beach photo. She's pretty attractive. That's not happening, Elizabeth says, crossing her arms defiantly. I chuckle. You wanted to spice up our sex life, right? Yes, Elizabeth says, her arms folding tightly across her chest. I did? And you thought hooking up with Robert would do that, I say. So wouldn't it be even more exciting if I hooked up with his wife too? They're in an open marriage after all. Yeah, but Elizabeth hesitates. It's not just about you being with someone random. Oh, really? I grin. So now she's a random person? She's married to Robert and can be with other men. You're married to me and want the same. Isn't that pretty much the same thing? Elizabeth shoots me an incredulous look. No, it's not the same. Why not? I press. How is me hooking up with Amanda any different from you and Robert? She's too good looking, Elizabeth says. Clearly uncomfortable, so it's okay if I hook up with someone less attractive. I challenge. No, that's not what I meant, Elizabeth says. Sounding defeated? It's just different. Different how? I push. Are you worried I'll enjoy it too much? Or that I might prefer her over you? Maybe, Elizabeth admits. Or maybe you're scared. I'll be thinking of her when I'm with you. Yeah, that's part of it, she confesses reluctantly. I see what you're getting at, I say. But we agreed to drop this whole thing. We did, Elizabeth says. But that was before I saw her and really thought about your suggestion. So now that you think you can have a fling with a hot woman, you're okay with me and Robert? Elizabeth retorts. Hell yes, I say. Why not? You're a jerk, Elizabeth says, her voice rising. I'm a jerk for wanting fairness? I shot back. You're the one who wanted to involve someone else. I'm just going along with it. No, Elizabeth says. Sounding frustrated? You're messing with what I had in mind. So you wanted to be intimate with someone else? But you don't want me to do the same? I argue. You're just trying to confuse me. I told you it wasn't like that, Elizabeth says. Tears welling up. Elizabeth, let's keep this civil, I say. Trying to calm the situation. I'm starting to think this could actually work out. I don't want any part of it, Elizabeth insists. You talked me out of it. I realize now it was a mistake. It was a mistake, I agree. Let's forget about it. No more rushing into things? I find Robert's number. Begin dialing on Elizabeth's phone. Let's just see what he has to say. No, don't call him, Elizabeth cries. Grabbing my arm, her fingers digging into my sleeve. Shh, calm down, I say softly. Trying to soothe her. It's ringing. I put the phone on speaker, so Elizabeth could hear both sides. A man answers, his voice low and cautious. Elizabeth, I told you not to call me at home. Hi, is this Robert Wilson? I ask. My tone firm. There's a long pause, followed by a click, then the line goes dead. That's odd, I say to Elizabeth. Looks like we got disconnected. Let me try calling back. Elizabeth reaches for the phone, her voice trembling. Please don't do this. I hush her gently, pulling the phone out of her reach. Sounds like you're having second thoughts. Hello, Robert. This is Elizabeth's husband. Are you still there? I ask firmly. Yeah, what do you want? Robert's voice comes through. Clearly annoyed. Is this a bad time? I inquire. What do you want? He repeats, sounding more irritated. Well, I start. Elizabeth mentioned your idea. About going out on a date. There was a moment of silence. On the other end, finally, Robert responds. And I think it could work, I say. Despite Elizabeth's attempt to intervene, I silence her and continue, but of course with some clear boundaries and agreements. Boundaries and agreements? Robert echoes. Puzzled. Yes, I confirm. If you're going to be involved with my wife, let's keep it above board. No secrets. Sure, I guess, Robert replies. Lacking confidence. I mean, we don't want to wreck a marriage with lies and tricks. I love Elizabeth and want to keep our marriage intact, I say. So as long as we're all open about it and know what's going on, it should be fine. Okay, yeah, Robert agrees. Sounding uncertain, Elizabeth stares at me in disbelief, her mouth agape. When I glance at her, she shakes her head. Honey, I don't want to go through with this, she says softly. I wave her off. Turn back to Robert. Why don't you get Amanda and put the phone on speaker? What? Robert responds stunned. Bring Amanda, I say. The mother of your 3 children, Emma, Lucas, and baby Noah, the woman you're in an open relationship with. Let her hear all the details. Listen, you jerk, Robert snarls. I don't know what kind of game you're playing. Robert, I'm not playing games, I reassure him. Elizabeth told me about you and Amanda. She said you're okay with her. Sleeping with other people. We were just looking at her beach photos on Facebook, and I have to admit, I'm interested in being with her. While you're with my wife? What? Robert exclaims sharply. You want to be with Amanda? While I'm with Elizabeth? Is that what you think this is? Isn't that what swingers do? I ask. Swap spouses? Keep my wife out of this. You jerk, Robert demands. Robert, I say calmly. It's a bit late for that. You've been wooing my wife for months. Wasn't Amanda pregnant with Noah for most of that time? Congratulations on his birth, by the way. Can hear his breathing getting heavier? I bet Amanda's ready for some action now. Shut up! Robert yells him. I told you to leave Amanda alone. So she doesn't know you're after Elizabeth? I ask. Glancing at Elizabeth, who was now crying, with her face in her hands. I thought you and Amanda had an open marriage. I hear a woman's voice in the background. Honey, what's going on? Who's on the phone? Nobody, it's fine, Robert replies, his voice tense. Just get the kids ready. Oh, right, I continue. It's a big day today. Emma has a soccer tournament this afternoon. How do I know that? Why do you care? Robert snaps. It's amazing what you can uncover. On Facebook, I say with a chuckle. I've got an idea. There's a pause on the line. As Robert processes my words, "What kind of idea?" he finally asks. "Why don't Elizabeth and I join you and Amanda at the tournament? We'll fill her in on what she's missed. Then we can hit a bar, have a few drinks, get to know each other, and finish the night with some fun. I'll even let you and Elizabeth have the master bedroom." Robert's voice grows harsh. "Stay away from my wife and kids." "You jerk! I'll make sure you regret it if I see you near us." "Calm down, Robert," I say firmly. "You mentioned no secrets, and everyone should be aware of the situation. Amanda included, right?" "Screw you!" Robert shouts. "Don't ever call me again." "All right, I'll just dial Amanda then," I say quickly. Before he could hang up, "Wait!" Robert barks. "How did you even get her number?" "That's beside the point," I tell him. "What's important is that everyone knows what you've been up to with my wife and your intentions." There was a moment of silence before Robert asks, "What do you want from me?" "I want you to stay away from my wife," I snap. "If I find out you're near her, I'll tell Amanda everything. Understand?" "Crystal clear," Robert responds, his voice subdued. "But we work together. I can't completely avoid her. Elizabeth's on vacation for the next 2 weeks," I say. "By the time she's back, you'd better be out of that company. You're a consultant, so tell your bosses that a personal issue with one of the wives requires you to be reassigned. They'll likely transfer you before Elizabeth returns." "And if I don't?" he challenged. I turn to Elizabeth. "Call Amanda and tell her everything." Elizabeth looks at me surprised. It's a bluff, but Robert doesn't need to know. I motion for Elizabeth to go ahead. "All right," she says, wiping her tears. "Wait," Robert interrupts. "Okay, I'll talk to them. First thing in the morning." "Good," I reply. "You're not as clueless as Elizabeth thought. One last thing. Elizabeth can hear you now. Apologize to her." There's a pause. Then Robert's voice, tinged with irritation, mutters, "Sorry, Elizabeth." Before Elizabeth could respond, I cut in. "Don't contact my wife again. Now get ready to go to the soccer tournament with your family. Best of luck to Emma." I hang up, toss the phone on the counter. I turn to Elizabeth, who looks up at me with pleading eyes. "I'm really sorry," she begins. But I cut her off. "Tomorrow call your boss and explain that you have a family emergency and need a 2-week break," I instructed. She nods, avoiding eye contact. "Now," I say, "pull down your pants, bend over the table, and let me show you how I feel." Elizabeth meets my gaze. Recognizing the anger in my eyes, she bites her lip, obeys, bends over the kitchen table, pushing aside our untouched breakfast. I stand behind her, delivering a firm slap to her buttocks, leaving a bright red mark. She winces in pain. "I'm the only one you'll be going out with," I growl, then make love to my wife with more intensity than ever before.